You can schedule pins onto Pinterest for free and you don't need to use Tailwind to do this. Did you know that Pinterest has its own scheduler built right into its website? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use this scheduler along with explaining why you should be using this instead of Tailwind, which is going to save you a ton of money. Let's get started. Hey, my name is Sarah, and today we are talking about the free Pinterest scheduler that is built directly into the platform. Pinterest has changed a lot over the year, and manual pinning is now the best way to get traffic to your blog or your Etsy site. But manual pinning doesn't mean that you have to be at your computer or desk every single day scheduling pins. Let's jump into Pinterest and see how this works. So when you log into Pinterest, you're going to go to Create and then Create Pin. And this is going to be how you're going to schedule your pins onto Pinterest. So you're going to click the drag and drop box here. And let's say I am going to pin this pin right here. I'm going to add in my title, and I'm going to add in a keyword-rich description. And then you're going to add your destination link, which this isn't a pin that I'm going to be pinning, so I'm going to leave that blank. You have the option to publish your pin immediately. You can go in here and click on a board. You can find it in here, or you can just search for it specifically, like that. And then you can click on publish, or you can publish at a later date. So you can schedule pins 2 weeks out from the day that it currently is, and you can schedule in half-hour increments. Whether you post the pin directly onto Pinterest or you schedule it for later, Pinterest still considers that to be a manual pin. So you don't technically have to be at your computer every single day manual pinning, as in posting the pin at the exact time. You can schedule it later in their Pinterest scheduler, and it will still go out the same way as if you had posted it at that exact time. Whereas if you did this exact same thing using Tailwind, you would get less impressions on the pin because they don't consider it a manual pin, pinning it directly to the platform. It really is that simple to schedule pins onto Pinterest for free. But then the question becomes, why do you have to schedule pins this way? And one of the reasons is because Pinterest kind of demotes pins that come from a third-party site. What you used to be able to do was pin exclusively using Tailwind. Whether you pinned to Pinterest or you pinned to Tailwind, your pin would get the exact same reach. But now, Pinterest has decided that this isn't the case anymore. While you still can use Tailwind if you want, your pin will not be sent out to as many people if you do. And I'm assuming the reason is because people were using Tailwind to exclusively pin their pins and they were not going on to Pinterest, which resulted in a decrease of traffic for Pinterest, which obviously isn't good for their platform, so they decided to change it. The second reason you should be using the Pinterest scheduler instead is because Tailwind is expensive. And this scheduler is free. I'm assuming you're going to have to need a business account. I don't know if you have the access to the scheduler if you have a personal account, but if you run a blog or an Etsy, you should already have a Pinterest business account anyway, so that shouldn't really bother you. I bought Tailwind for a few years, and honestly, it is a lot of money for what they give you. Blogging is expensive, and Tailwind is one of those blogging things that used to be essential, but it is no longer. So if you don't use Tailwind, you can save yourself a lot of money, which is really good in the beginning if you aren't making a lot of money to cover even just your expenses. Now let's go over the downsides to the Pinterest scheduler, because even though I recommend that that's the thing that you use, there are a few downsides to it and things that I wish that they would fix. The first problem is, as you might have seen, that you can't schedule out very far in advance. This might not be a problem for a lot of bloggers if you are only scheduling out 1 week or you're only doing a small amount of pins, but if you like to do an entire month at once or you like to do multiple weeks in a row, you aren't going to be able to do that. The second problem is you can only schedule in half-hour intervals. This is another problem that isn't really that huge of a deal, but it is something that I'd like to see changed. I want to be able to schedule my pins whenever I want to. Maybe you don't necessarily need the scheduler to go down to the minute, but even if we had 10 or 15-minute intervals, that would be really nice, because then you can have more options to choose from so that you can make sure you are pinning at the exact time that your audience is active, as opposed to within half-hour intervals. Whereas with Tailwind, you can schedule down to the minute. And while I don't think that's necessarily necessary, nobody's really scheduling a pin at 12:01, but I think having even 10 to 15-minute intervals on top of the half-hour intervals would be a really good addition to the Pinterest scheduler. The third problem is there is a limit to the amount of pins that you can schedule. Again, I don't really see this being a problem if you're only scheduling a week out in advance. You're probably not scheduling enough pins to even get to the limit, but if you like to bulk create, you are going to have a limit. They recently just fixed this. I believe when I first started scheduling pins, you could only schedule a very small amount, like 25 or something like that. But they recently bumped it up to around 100, as I've heard. They are updating the Pinterest scheduler, as they are recommending that you use it more often now, which I think is really good. Again, I don't think this is going to be a problem for many people if you aren't scheduling too far out in advance, and you can only schedule 2 weeks at a time, so it's likely you're never going to hit that threshold, but it is something to think about, because with Tailwind, you can schedule months out in advance, and you can schedule pretty much as many pins as you want. I've never heard of anybody actually hitting the Tailwind limit for their pins. So to the average blogger, these downsides really are not going to be a main concern for you. So overall, the Pinterest scheduler still is the better tool to use. It is unfortunate that we can't use Tailwind anymore. I used to schedule 200 to 300 pins in one sitting, and it was really easy to do. Unfortunately, Pinterest has made scheduling a little bit more difficult, but it is still relatively easy to do if you know how to batch create your Pinterest pins. So overall, I think the Pinterest scheduler is the best thing to use, because the bottom line is that Pinterest wants us to manually pin. So if you want your pins to get the highest reach possible, you are going to want to switch to this method. If you would like more help on Pinterest, be sure to check out one of these 2 videos right here. And if you want the full playlist of all of the Pinterest videos that I have done, I will leave a link down below in the description. Make sure to like this video if you liked, and subscribe to my channel down below for more videos just like this. And I will see you next time. Bye!